Listen to me. Listen. Oh, don't type anything. Don't you know. I know that there are some goblins dancing around in your heads right now, but I need you to pay attention. This is the Needle Drop. I'm Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd. We're going to do an album review. Death Grips, Exmilitary. This is a free mixtape. Look below this video on YouTube or go punch it into the search on the needledrop.com. You can download the entire thing for free. This is one of those reviews where I really love what I'm hearing, but I am positively, absolutely sure that a lot of you are going to hate this. This is some very polarizing music, but here it goes. Death Grips is a California rap trio. According to a press release that I read, every member of the group contributes to every aspect of the music, whether it be the production or the lyrics, whatever. Which is pretty interesting considering the only named member of the group is Zach Hill of Hella. And this is one of the most boundary challenging pieces of hip-hop I've heard in a while. I actually think it's weirder than one of my favorite weird takes on hip-hop from last year, and that's Gonja Sufi's A Sufi and a Killer. First, to start with the beats on this LP, Zach Hill's really sporadic drumming, his glitchy electronics, and high volume finish, which I assume the other members of this group also contributed to. That keeps this album really intense from start to finish. And there are a lot of parallels between this LP and the solo work of Zach Hill as well, which I've found myself losing patience with when I try to listen to it, but that doesn't happen to me on this album. There are elements of noise here, elements of punk as well. I even read on another blog somebody comparing this album to Atari Teenage Riot, and at the risk of making a few people like cringe, I have to kind of agree. Some of these tracks like Guillotine and Takyon just creep along with these electronic low-end rumbles and all these fat bass hits that kind of feel like I'm getting shocked with a defibrillator. But a majority of these tracks are skippy, skittery, repetitive. There are some moments where some nice samples show up, like Link Ray's Rumble, yes, and Black Flag's Rise Above, yes. And I guess the last sonic quality of this LP that I want to make note of is the rapper. He screams at the top of his lungs. He screams his brains out on some of these tracks. And I know at first that can seem a little gimmicky, that, oh, they're just being loud to be loud. But there are a lot of abstract meanings and messages and musical subtleties in this thing to be picked up with repeated listens. To me, this guy kind of sounds like a louder, angrier version of the Wu-Tang Clan's The RZA. And if you're into music with screaming, what's here really isn't going to be that much of a shock for you. Overall, to me, the beats, the production on this album are solid. They're untouchable. They're really noisy. They're really disorienting. They paint an ugly background for the ugly character portrayed in the lyrics. This album starts off with the track Beware, which introduces itself with an interview clip from none other than Charles Manson. And this song kind of sets up the inner psyche of the madman you're about to peer into, talking about how he's going to the point of no return, talking about how he is the beast he worships. And things just get weirder from there. This album kind of devolves into angry, violent hobo rap, kind of a scary picture of the most primal urges that mankind has to offer. The tracks Spread Eagle Cross the Block and I Want It, I Need It are kind of about being on the prowl for sex and drugs, and how these addictions can strip people of their sensibilities, their personalities, turn a person terrible, turn a person greedy, turn them into monsters that make the monster on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy look like a Muppet. This album is intentionally ugly and shocking and horrifying. Ugly isn't supposed to be catchy or properly organized or played at a reasonable volume. Plus, if this thing was simply about violence and sex and drugs, I don't think social critiques about the information age, like on the track Culture Shock, would go over that well, or even be there. But I'm not necessarily on the bandwagon with this album, if there is a bandwagon. I'm into these songs with the same kind of love I would have for a really aggressive punk tune. Don't get me wrong, there are a few moments here where, even for me, I feel like this LP has gone overboard a little bit. Like on the oh wow 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 on the track Blood Creepin'. And maybe also the track I Want It, I Need It, which is 6 minutes long, could have the same impact being 3 minutes, 4 minutes. But overall, I still think this thing is a really intense piece of audio, a great mixtape. I kind of felt like I was a mischievous 10-year-old or something, and I got in trouble, and then I got entered into one of those Scared Straight programs, and then I got screamed at by an inmate for 45 minutes, and now I'm just fearful and paranoid of doing anything bad. But still, feeling a decent 8 on this. Enjoyed it a lot, and felt it was one of the most unique experiences I've had so far this year, and probably will have for this year. I'm sure it will be a unique experience for some of you as well. Whether or not it's a positive one is for you to decide. Let me know. Love this thing? Hate it? Why? And what do you think I should review next? Anthony Fantano, Death Grips, Military, Forever.